You know, don't you? I see how you are trying to fight against all of this. I know how much you try to hide what you feel, to keep up the facade that everything is under control, that nothing can shake you. But deep down, we know it's not quite like that. There's something inside you that won't stay quiet, that insists, that calls you, even when you don't want to listen. There's no point in pretending. This attempt to ignore what you feel only consumes you more. You try to convince yourself that you are stronger than all this, that you can keep the reins on your own heart. But the truth is, no matter how much you run, there is a greater force pulling you back, as if every thought, every breath is tied to a destiny you cannot control. And I know you're scared, afraid to allow yourself to surrender, to maybe lose yourself, afraid to feel too much, to not know how to deal with the intensity of it all. It's easier to build walls, create barriers, and pretend that nothing affects you. But these walls only make the heart beat stronger on the inside, as if wanting to break all your defenses. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy. I'm just here to say that sometimes life doesn't give you a choice, and maybe what you are feeling is exactly what you need the most. Maybe it's destiny pushing you to where you always should have been. You feel it, don't you? That feeling that, no matter how much you fight, something inside you has already surrendered a long time ago. So, stop running. Stop fighting the inevitable. Because in the end, what you fear the most might be exactly what will set you free. You're there trying to maintain control, trying to hide the signs. But they are there, in every detail. In the way your gaze changes when that name is mentioned. In the way your body seems to hesitate for a second when you think about the possibility of getting closer. It's almost imperceptible, but it's written in every gesture, in every silence. It's like you're stuck between wanting and fear, trapped in a space where everything seems to be in suspension. I know that sometimes you try to be cold, try not to feel anything, but the heart is stubborn. It doesn't respect the orders you try to impose, and the more you resist, the stronger the desire becomes. It's a current that pulls you, even when you try to swim against it. You can even try to rationalize, find justifications, seek arguments to not allow yourself to feel. Maybe you tell yourself it's not the right time, that there are so many complications, that you've been hurt before and don't want to get hurt again. I understand. Pain leaves marks that make you hesitate. But somehow it seems that this story doesn't just want to disappear, does it? It's as if something bigger is at play, something that doesn't depend solely on your rational choices. You feel this presence, don't you? Something that awakens you, that disturbs you in the middle of the night, that makes you keep wondering, what if? What if you allow yourself to feel, even if only for a moment? What if what you are avoiding is exactly what will bring you what you seek so much? That fulfillment you always dreamed of, even secretly, might be exactly in what you fear the most. It's not about being weak or strong. It's about being true to yourself. How long will you carry this burden of pretending you don't feel? How long will you keep trying to control the uncontrollable? I know you think you can resist. I know you think time will help you bury this, but time sometimes is just an accomplice to destiny. It doesn't erase, it deepens, because in the end, you already know what the truth is. It's there, latent, alive, waiting for you. You're there trying to maintain control, trying to hide the signs, but they are there, in every detail. In the way your gaze changes when that name is mentioned. In the way your body seems to hesitate for a second when you think about the possibility of getting closer. It's almost imperceptible, but it's written in every gesture, in every silence. It's like you're stuck between wanting and fear, trapped in a space where everything seems to be in suspension. I know that sometimes you try to be cold, try not to feel anything, but the heart is stubborn. It doesn't respect the orders you try to impose, and the more you resist, the stronger the desire becomes. It's a current that pulls you, even when you try to swim against it. You can even try to rationalize, find justifications, seek arguments, to not allow yourself to feel. Maybe you tell yourself it's not the right time, that there are so many complications, that you've been hurt before and don't want to get hurt again. I understand. Pain leaves marks that make you hesitate. But somehow, it seems that this story doesn't just want to disappear, does it? It's as if something bigger is at play, something that doesn't depend solely on your rational choices. You feel this presence, don't you? Something that awakens you, that disturbs you in the middle of the night, that makes you keep wondering, what if? What if you allow yourself to feel, even if only for a moment? What if what you are avoiding is exactly what will bring you what you seek so much? That fulfillment you always dreamed of, even secretly, might be exactly in what you fear the most. It's not about being weak or strong. It's about being true to yourself. How long will you carry this burden of pretending you don't feel? How long will you keep trying to control the uncontrollable? I know you think you can resist. I know you think time will help you bury this, but time sometimes is just an accomplice to destiny. It doesn't erase, it deepens. Because in the end, you already know what the truth is. It's there, latent, alive, waiting for you. This truth that you insist on hiding is there, pulsing, beating stronger with each attempt to suffocate it. There's no point in denying it. You may have become good at hiding what you feel from others, but you can't hide it from yourself. It's as if every part of you, every cell, is screaming for what the heart has already decided a long time ago. You feel the resistance inside you like a heavy armor, don't you? Something you wear every day to not let anyone see the vulnerability that exists behind it. But the more you protect yourself, the stronger the desire seems to become. It's ironic, almost cruel. All this effort to stay safe only makes the longing and yearning grow even more. You are at war with yourself, and deep down, you know you are losing. And why exactly do you resist so much? Maybe it's the fear of the unknown, of not knowing what will happen if you let this barrier fall. Maybe it's the fear of getting hurt again, of opening up and letting someone in, only to cause chaos in what you've worked so hard to keep in order. But have you noticed that what you are feeling now is, in a way, more painful than any past wound? This absence, this emptiness that seems to be the price of your resistance, is it really worth it? You're already tired, aren't you? Tired of pretending, of trying to control everything, of keeping a straight face while your heart seems to burn. And as much as you don't admit it, you know that this fight won't take you anywhere. The truth is that, deep down, you know what you want. You already know what makes you feel alive again, even if you try to deny it to yourself. Because destiny does not ask for permission, it just happens. It puts you in the middle of a hurricane and somehow makes you feel that despite everything, that's where you should be. You can't just ignore the signs that come from all sides, can you? Life has a cruel way of reminding you of what is important, and it's as if every detail, every unexpected moment brings you back to the same point. This feeling that you insist on pushing away, but that is always there, lurking. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop fighting. Maybe it's time to let the current take you, to allow what you feel to finally find space to exist. Because this resistance, this insistence on maintaining control is only taking you away from who you really are. And deep down, you already know that. You know that, despite all the fear, the only way to truly live is to allow yourself to feel everything without reservations. So what are you going to do now? The choice is before you, naked and raw, without the masks you have tried so hard to put on. There's no more disguising or postponing this decision. You feel the weight of it on your shoulders, like an invisible hand pulling you, shaking you, reminding you that you can't escape anymore. Because the truth is, there's no way to be half true. There's no way to live only halfway. You've already realized that this desire for absolute control is taking you further away from your own essence. If you could be completely honest with yourself, what would you say? Would you admit that you are tired of sustaining this role of someone who doesn't feel, of someone who is untouchable? Would you admit that the silence you try to use as a shield only amplifies what's hurting inside? I know that admitting all this is scary, maybe the hardest thing of all, but don't be fooled. The pain you feel now is not caused by the love you are trying to avoid, but by the barrier you yourself erected to try to protect yourself from it. You know what you really want. It's that feeling that makes you wake up in the middle of the night with a tight chest, that name that still echoes in your mind when you least expect it. It's a shiver, an almost palpable longing, a desire that seems rooted in your soul. You can even try to be rational, tell yourself that all this is just a phase, a temporary distraction. But deep down, a voice insists on whispering that it's much more than that this feeling is not something that arose by chance, that it is not something that can be simply forgotten or ignored. And what are you going to do with that voice? Will you continue to silence it until it turns into a suffocated scream, incapable of being contained? Or will you, for the first time in a long time, allow it to guide you to where you need to be? Because despite everything, what you fear most is not the pain of surrendering, but the pain of never having tried. I know that fear is there, as present as the desire itself. Fear of losing yourself, of opening up and finding something different from what you expected. Fear of allowing yourself to be seen as you really are, without masks, without shields. But isn't that exactly what you yearn for? To be completely seen, completely accepted, exactly as you are. Fear and desire are often opposite sides of the same coin, and you already understand that you can't live without taking risks, without making room for the unpredictable. What if for a moment you dare to trust destiny? What if instead of resisting, you simply let things happen? It's not about throwing yourself blindly, abandoning reason. It's about allowing yourself to feel, even with all the vulnerability that brings. Because in the end, it's this surrender that will make you truly alive. And maybe that's exactly what you need most now. A chance to feel everything, to allow what is inside you to finally find a space to exist. The choice is in your hands, but time will not wait. So, again, I ask, what are you going to do now? I know there is still a part of you that insists on maintaining control, that clings to rationality to avoid the risk of feeling all this at once. But I also know that deep down, there is a greater desire to just let it happen. You have already realized that this internal battle is not taking you anywhere, only taking you away from living what could be your destiny. This story is not about protecting yourself, it's about freeing yourself from fears, from bonds, from the excuses you create to not let your heart speak louder. Life is made of choices, and maybe this choice, the scariest of all, is the one with the greatest potential to transform you. Because in the end, what will you do when the only thing left is what you feel? What will happen when you realize that this fight is not against an external enemy, but against yourself? And more importantly, how long will you keep yourself away from what you really desire? If you have come this far, you already know what needs to be done. I'm not saying it will be easy. True love is never easy. It requires surrender, courage, and the acceptance that you can indeed get hurt. But the pain of never having tried is much harder to bear. You are already on the edge, almost ready to take this step, and the only thing stopping you now is the fear of not knowing what comes next. But that's what makes everything so special. The unknown, the unpredictable, the fact that everything can be different from what you imagined, or exactly what you always wanted, but never had the courage to admit. So, I challenge you to do something different this time. Lower your weapons, open your heart, and let destiny guide you no matter how uncertain it seems. Maybe it's time to give what you feel a chance, to live what is inside you, to finally be true to yourself. Now I want to know, have you ever experienced something like this? Have you ever found yourself trapped between the desire and the fear of surrendering? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. Leave a like if you have also fought against your own feelings, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Because, in the end, destiny already has its own plans, and the only thing left is for you to decide if you will follow the path your heart has already chosen.